Hey everyone, Marcos Vegas here, and in this little clip, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about my thoughts on this Sergey Kovalev versus Nadjib Mohammedi fight that happened over the weekend on HBO. I'm going to go over what I thought about the fight and really what's next for Sergey Kovalev and potential matchups we could see him coming up in the next few months and, of course, in the next year. So, Sergey Kovalev did what he was supposed to do in this fight, given the type of opponent Nadjib Mohammedi was in this fight. A lot of people felt that he was going to blow him out, and he did just that in the fight as he won via knockout in the third round. So it's a little hard, really, to gauge improvements that Sergey did, given his past few performances, given that the fight didn't really last too long, so it's really, really hard to gauge that. I did notice that he used his jab a little bit more in the fight, so obviously that's one major improvement. You always, as a coach or someone looking if a fighter's improved or not, you want to see a consistent use of the jab. So he certainly did that. On the HBO broadcast, they noted that they felt that Sergey Kovalev was a little bit more based out. His knees bent a little bit more when he was throwing punches, so that's a minor improvement. But really, the fight just ended way too quickly to really see if Kovalev was improving or not. We would have liked to have seen him maybe at least go 7, 8, 9 rounds, but you can't really hold it against Kovalev. He fought the guy that he was supposed to fight, given the conditions of boxing right now for him. He fought the best available opponent that he can get. He got a knockout. We always like seeing knockouts. We got to see Sergey Kovalev fight again. Certainly, we don't want this to be a trend for Kovalev, because that's not a good thing at all. We want to see him fight the top guys. But given that Pascal had a fight, Adonis has a fight coming up in September, Andre Ward just had a fight, it put him in a sticky situation where he had to take a fight like this. Now, really, what's next for Sergey Kovalev at this point? He's pretty much just about cleaned out the light heavyweight division. There's not a lot of guys left for him to fight. They were making a big hoopla, big push for a Pascal rematch on the broadcast. And to me, I think that's a terrible idea. I think that's a bad idea given the controversy over the fight Pascal had that night. When I was watching the fight, I felt that he did not in fact win the fight. But I was checking a lot of people on my timeline, and they felt that it was a very, very close fight. I had a lot of people having it as a draw. I saw a lot of people tweeting me saying that they felt that it was a lot closer than what people were thinking it was. But based on that, because he didn't have a clear and concise win over that opponent, I feel it really hurts Pascal's push for a rematch against Kovalev. Now, another big thing is this is just my perspective on it. When I look at potential rematches and if they make sense, as if they will happen, what I take into account is well, how did the first matchup go? And if the first matchup was a controversial one or a competitive one, or where A fighter was really exposed by what B fighter brought to him, then to me, perspective-wise, I feel like, okay, there's enough story, there's enough push for a rematch to happen. Pascal got knocked out in that last fight with Kovalev. Yeah, he landed some big shots that we hadn't seen Kovalev get landed on him. And shoot, I've never seen him get hit like that before, And based on that, you can make a slight argument for a rematch, but based on how concise and how dominant Kovalev was, I don't think the time for a rematch is right now. If Pascal can go win a few fights, win in spectacular fashion, get a lot more momentum going his way, then I feel it will be a right time for a rematch. But as far as a rematch in the next fight, I don't think it's warranted given his last performance that we saw on Saturday and given the performance that he had against Sergey Kovalev. Now, we all want to see Kovalev fight Adonis Stevenson. It's pretty much the light heavyweight version of Pacquiao versus Mayweather. It's a very hard fight to get done given Kovalev's deal with HBO, how he signed on for a number of fights with them, and that how they'll be exclusively broadcast on HBO. We all know Stevenson is a PBC fighter. managed by Al Heyman. So that's already a huge, huge barricade with that fight. It really sucks, honestly, because that's a fight that I feel, if you're a boxing fan, man, you want to see this fight happen. You got a knockout guy in Adonis Stevenson who has one punch, knockdown and knockout power, go up against another guy that has one punch, knockdown and knockout power. And given their records, given what they've been doing to people in their division in the last 2 years, you're like, man, this is like explosions gonna happen in this fight. We know like this fight's gonna end in knockout. It's not gonna go 12 rounds, and yeah, it sucks. It sucks that it's a very, very hard fight for it to get made. It would have to be a lot of talking it out, hugging it out with both promoters, a lot of concessions made. We can have our fingers crossed if it's gonna get made in 2016, but man, it sucks. I don't think the fight's gonna happen really in that next year. I think a fight that's more likely to happen is an Andre Ward fight. That's a very interesting fight for Sergey Kovalev. Andre Ward would be moving up in weight to light heavyweight, even though Andre Ward has said that he would like to stay at 168 pounds. And a lot of the videos we've seen him in, though, in that fight, I think people are already putting Sergey Kovalev as a favorite. I feel that because Andre Ward's in activity, that's why people are kind of putting Kovalev in as a favorite in that fight. And given the performances he's had, especially against Bernard Hopkins, you would have to put him as that paper-wise, even though when you look at it skill-wise, Andre Ward has shown that he could take the best thing that a rival has and take it away from them. And that's really a great sign of a top-tier talent, a fighter that is special. This guy's an Olympian, and he's the last Olympian that we've had in the United States. And it's really hurt his visibility, and really you're only remembered from your last fight. He hasn't been in an active. And I felt that if Andre Ward would have had the type of momentum he had after the fight that he had with Chad Dawson going into a fight with Kovalev, Andre Ward would be the favorite in that fight. But I really see it as a very close fight that would be extremely competitive, and it could be a fight that's really, really technical, given that Ward has the ability to take away the strongest strength. But Ward's never fought a guy either with the punching power of a Sergey Kovalev, really with the dynamic of Sergey Kovalev. He hasn't fought a guy as good as Sergey Kovalev yet in his career, so that's what makes that fight really interesting. Gennady Golovkin, a lot of fans pushing for that fight. That's a fight that, we'd like to see because of Gennady's knockout ratio, Kovalev's knockout ratio, but come on, bro. Like, Gennady's small, like, for a guy like Kovalev. That guy is weighing 185 the night of a fight. Gennady's weighing like Gennady's too small of a guy. He's at 160. The guy could still make 154 if he really wanted to. He's going up to 3 weight classes if he were to fight Sergey Kovalev. Like, come on, that's not gonna happen. Like, get out of here. Don't take Gennady away from fights that he could potentially have with Cotto Canelo. Like, don't even put him in that conversation and start that whole talk of, oh, Gennady Kovalev. No, keep him at 160, 154, because we want to see him fight Miguel Cotto and Canelo Alvarez. Hopefully we'll see that fight coming up in the next year. Gennady has David Lemieux. That's going to be a great freaking fight. You see a guy with the punching power of David Lemieux. We know from the last fight that Gennady does get hit. Lemieux does get hit. That's going to be a great fight. It's overall this year in terms of matchups we wanted to see. We've had a really great year because we had Mayweather-Pacquiao, and yeah, it sucked. It wasn't a great fight, but that's not Floyd's fault. Floyd fought his fight, but we got that fight finally. We are getting the Cotto-Canelo fight, which announcement's supposed to be made, I believe, like around this time. I'm going to say maybe in a few weeks. And now we're getting Golovkin-Lemieux. So we've got a lot of good fights this year. It's fight-wise, it's been a really good year, even though the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight wasn't that great of a fight. Now, I want to see Kovalev going up against a guy who's really, really fast. That's why the Adonis Stevenson fight interests me a lot, because for that weight, Stevenson is a really fast guy. So, like I said, business of boxing, that it's really, really unlikely that that fight happens. Now, if you guys were on Instagram, did you guys see Kovalev up in the club? If I was in Vegas that weekend, that would trip me out. Like, one, like, I want to see how much vodka like Kovalev could drink in there. Like, usually these athletes, my phone blowing off a tweet. Usually these athletes don't really drink a lot, but I don't know. Kovalev just seems like a machine in like everything he does. I could see him taking a handle to the dome of vodka, and it's like, it's no problem. It's no problem, like, whatsoever. But yeah, those funnies on those pictures on Instagram were pretty funny. Seeing Kovalev up in the club. Certainly, if I was a fan, that would be the highlight of my night. And really, I can't not picture Kovalev like fist pumping to house music in Vegas. Like, it's a really funny mental picture in my head. So that's my assessments, my perspective on the fight that happened over the weekend of Sergey Kovalev, Nadjib Mohammedi. Of course, Kovalev knocking out Nadjib in the third round. Make sure to stay tuned. This week we have a lot of Malignaggi Garcia fight week coverage for that fight, or Garcia Malignaggi for that fight on the channel, youtube.com/FightHub. Make sure to follow us on our social media at FightHub TV, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Go ahead and give me a follow as well and see my interviews, not only from the world of boxing via the boxing channel, but also, of course, on the site that I founded, youtube.com/FightHub. My handle is at HeyIt'sMarcosV on, not Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram. And hey, did you know we have a Spanish channel? Yes, all Spanish content. We have FightHub Español. So make sure to subscribe to that as well if you want to see exclusive Spanish content. youtube.com/FightHub Espanol. Well, we have a lot of great stuff coming our way. We just uploaded a video with Paulie Malignaggi calling Manny Pacquiao a cheater, quote unquote, in his words, not mine, his words, repeating what he said. That's the title of the video. We also have another video with Danny Garcia having a message to people that call him a cherry picker. So tune in to youtube.com/FightHub. Check out those interviews. Let me know what you guys think about this analysis, this perspective, and those interviews as well. As always, this does it for this little video. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Marcos Villegas, and this is where I peace out. Later, guys.